Hey guys, welcome to the channel. Welcome to Lucien's Daily Football channel. I'm Jace, Lucien's dad, a Manchester United supporter. What can I say? What can I say? Fulham won, Manchester United won. All that excitement from last week, all the positivity. Obviously, not everyone felt the same way, but from my own perspective, based on last season, last week was a great improvement. But at the same times, I can say we've we we have always been strong when it comes to the top teams. So, in a sense, you could say that was expected, but it wasn't expected to dominate Arsenal for 80 minutes. And that is what we did in that game. You know, so there was a lot of positives. New signing Kuna and Mbuemo was absolutely amazing. I think Mount had a good game. There's a few of them had Lenny Euro, Luke Shaw, they all had a good game. So coming from that game, although not everyone was positive about it, but the majority were very positive. And for me, there was a lot of positive to take from that game, and I was really excited for this game, thinking, you know what, we dominated Arsenal for 80 minutes, and if we can play like this against a smaller, lesser team, we're going to be all right. And this was always the big test, because you can lose, you can draw the big teams, but the smaller teams, they are the ones that you got to put away, because the whole season you can lose to smaller teams, and you can lose to bigger teams and lose and win against the smaller teams. Sorry, and still do well in the league. But 10 minutes in, I was thinking this is more like it. We're gonna continue what we did last week. Yeah, playing really well, aggressive, attacking. Kuna should have scored. Amazing long ball, outstanding from the goalkeeper. So we should have been 1 or 2 nil up. And then the penalty, the pen. Now, I'm not going to dwell too much on Bruno. I love Bruno. Bruno's a great player. But there are things that he has to work on. If he's going to be here as a Manchester United captain, that you know what? It's funny because I'm a life coach in terms of mental health and characters and things like that. One of the things that I always talk about is emotional control, how you regulate your emotions, because emotions are very important in life in general. It gives you that control, it gives you that calmness. When you can regulate your own emotions, you are able to overcome many things in life. And as a footballer, it's very important. And I think Bruno struggles with that. And that was telling, because as much as that he can say he missed, that's not the reason why he missed the penalty. But I beg to differ, because I think that has a major point. Just the fact that he came out and said the referee didn't say sorry, like a child. You know, you have to be able to regulate your emotions and say, you know what, put it aside. I've got to bury. I know. Do you know what? The pressure for that penalty is major, but he's got to regulate his emotions and say, you know what, let me focus on this. Put this penalty away. We 1-0 up. The rest, the game, we can control the game and get a few more goals. Because that's what I was thinking. I mean, the first 10 minutes, I was thinking we're gonna just dominate and score a few goals. Now, in terms of the tactics, again, I don't really know why I didn't start with the striker. I do think Mount had a great game. So it was either Mount on a 10 or Bruno. Because Bruno is not a centre midfielder. And he's not disciplined enough. He can't really control games. He's not Carrick. He's not Scholes. Yeah. He's a number 10. Number in a kind of old school way, when we used to have like two strikers. One plays in the 10, one So you got number 10 and the striker. So Bruno's that guy that hangs around outside of the box, sets up, and you can score goals. Technically, is great. But when you're playing Bruno in centre midfield, you've got to understand Bruno is like a toddler on high on Haribo. You know, he wants to be everywhere. He wants to chase the ball. He wants to close down. There is no discipline, and you cannot do that in the Premier League in the centre of the park because that is suicidal, especially in the Premier League. And then you've got Casemiro playing on the other side of him, and he hasn't got legs. So you're asking for big trouble. Now, the tactic of the way Amorim plays, we all know how he plays because he likes the aggressive centre backs to push in when the attackers and the midfielders press. So he's expecting the gap between the midfielders and the defenders to not be there because you've got your centre backs pushing in aggressively, so that space is not there anymore. So the problem you have with that, because the team's not used to the tactics, because some against Arsenal they did it quite well, but for this game it was a struggle. That is why you noticed when the first 10 minutes, we was really compact, aggressive, and you could see how they were nullifying the space between the midfield and the defence. But as time went on, something switched. Either after the goal, the pen, maybe after the goal, it was more a case of, oh, we've got a goal now, we've got to protect that lead. And the defenders start backing up. Lenny Euro and whoever else was playing, they leaked. They weren't aggressive enough. There was no communication. And then we start losing grip of the game. Bruno, Mount goes, Casemiro comes off, Mount goes into midfield with Bruno. I mean, it just got worse. It just got worse. Bruno lost his temper. After that, he wasn't with it. And if you watch, this is what I'm talking about, emotional regulation. If you watch Bruno, he's the one who was meant to be marking the player, the midfielder that scored. Now, if your head is gone, you're not going to be able to concentrate and focus. And that was one of the biggest problems. Now, Amorim's got a massive problem. You've got to either find a space, a position for Bruno, or you sell him. Because he cannot play in a midfield 2 with a legless Casemiro, with a kind of clueless. Do you know, Agate? I don't know. And then you got Mainu on him. And for me, it's like this. You know, the thing about Mainu, if you're going to control a game, if you want to take control of the game, which was the case, why leave Mainu on the bench? He was needed yesterday. Now, the striker situation, we should have started with a striker. At least start the striker. If he's tired, then you take him off after 45 minutes. You know, I know we should have scored, but there's something not right. And I feel like we're making all the excuses in the world, and Amorim has to tweak something in his. You can't. You know, as much as I'm patient, I'm not one of those fans or goes a bit crazy and emotionally overhyped and starts saying the manager out. But something has to give. You know, as stubborn as a person can be, it's not just about buying Belieber and all these midfielders. He has to tweak his midfield. Either if you're going to play 5-3-3, at least 3 midfielders, then you can play. Bruno can fit in. You know, if you had a Casemiro, Ugarte, and a Bruno, yes. If you had Mainu, Ugarte, Bruno, yes. But you cannot, with that system, you cannot play 2 in the center of the park. It doesn't matter how many legs the new midfielder comes with. You know, it's not going to make any difference. So for me, I was really disappointed. You know, I was gutted. Gutted in the sense where it was a game that was there for the taking, and we had a chance to get 3 points on the ball, and just enjoy the first part of the season, not to start feeling anxious and then trauma. The trauma's coming back. I'm not one to talk negative, but enough is. I'm really, really tired. It's like you watch Man United, w- w- even when the other team scores, it's almost like you expect it. I don't even feel. I used to feel like when United used to play, right, and we lose a game, that used to spoil my weekend. I used to feel like really bad, but now it's like it doesn't mean anything. It's like you're used to it, you know. But Amorim has to change a lot of things. He really has, because you cannot be a Manchester United and not win a game in such a time. I know obviously they back him, but how long can you back someone that's not winning you games? You know, Something has to change. It has to change. Either change the system or play the right players in the right places. Because for some reason, it doesn't matter what players you bring into Manchester United, something's not right. And we cannot keep blaming the players. We have got enough decent players to be fighting for the top five, top four. We have 110%. Thomas Frank has gone into Tottenham. It hasn't taken him that long. It hasn't taken him that long. And the turnover Man City. So I don't know why it's taking Amorim this long for a team to still be adapting. You can have new players come into a new league or new system, but it should not be taking this long. Something has to change. Um, I don't know how you guys feel. Please make sure you leave a comments on how you thought the game was. Make sure you like and subscribe, guys. Yeah, I've had enough. It's just disappointing. Um, you've got to start making a difference. Otherwise, now I'm hearing Maine who wants to leave. You know, and yeah, it's just no, guys. I'm tired. I'm tired of the crap we're going through. I don't need to. It's becoming the norm, which is not good for Manchester United. For a Manchester United fan base, this. We're not used to this. I know we're not in the Fergie era, but something is not right in terms of the managers that we're picking. Stabbing managers that coming in with the tactics that's not working. Amarin has to change that up. Like I said, if he's gonna go with 5-3-3 at least, or if you're gonna go with I don't even know, just play a striker, play the right midfielders, the right centre midfielders. Don't play Bruno in the centre of the park. If you're gonna play Bruno, play him at number 10. You know, we seem to have a lot of number 10s, but not the actual midfield that can control the game, that can combat. You know, win the ball back and play. We haven't got a midfield. We're bypassing the midfield. That is the reason why we can never, never, never dominate a game. But again, like I said, we dominated Arsenal last weekend because that was the first time I see us play like that. But we couldn't do it against Fulham. Anyway, guys, it's another disappointing weekend. If Although it's a draw, it feels like a loss. He's probably going to try the other the second string of players on Wednesday, and let's see what comes next. Please make sure you like and subscribe, guys. See you on the next one. Bless.